Playing Ajax, Salma Hayek, Angelina Jolie, Ursula Ali. Alrighty, we're going to be continuing on this edition with a little bit more recap of San Diego Comic-Con. But before we start, there are going to be some changes to some of the programming this week. Now, originally we said we were going to be talking about San Diego Comic-Con, little recaps and stuff like that. We're doing the Marvel one in this episode. We had initially scheduled in to talk about Star Trek Discovery and Picard for tomorrow. That is on hold because we are now following a story, which is right now some rumors and innuendos are being thrown around. We're going over a live feed from Midnight's Edge that they just did the other day. Neurotic had just reported this when we take this a while ago this afternoon. Basically, from the information we're getting, there may be a possibility that the Picard series might have been taken. It may the premise of it might have been taken from another person. This might bolster the Anasa Bin lawsuit. I'm not going to go into it right now. If you want, check out nerdrotic.com. He has a little bit on there, but we want to look further into this. I mean, next week is the Star Trek Experience. So if the allegations that we're hearing is true, this could change a lot of things right now. And before we report, how we felt about the trailers and stuff like that, I want to have all the information in front of me before. Even though I am upset about what I saw with the Picard series so far, and I had a lot of questions, and I was going to had this whole thing on that, but now there are more questions, and I have to look into that before we go any further. And like I said, this is what we do. When we bring you these stories, we want to give you thorough information, the best we can. In fact, with the limited amount of people we have and resources, and we'll try to do the best way. So, let's move into this. Also, don't forget, smash that subscribe button, hit that like, hit that notification so you know when we're going to get episodes on this of Man with the Show here on Cuticast TV. Well, getting back to San Diego Comic-Con, we seen that basically we had the Marvel Phase 4 announced. Now, one thing about this we had a lot of expectations. There was some things we were hoping to see. We were hoping to see where we're going to go next as far as level, as far as the villain, who's going to be the big bad this year. Did we get it? Not really. In fact, it was more confusion than any explanation as far as for me. And the one thing that, let me just start out with this. Okay, you have the Disney Plus channel coming in November. Now, they need to announce, and it's part of Disney Studios, to announce each of these new TV shows that are coming. But I don't think they should have lapped it together with Phase 4, unless all of these are going to connect together with Phase 4, which I don't think that's going to be part of the movie series, unless they got something that they're hiding. But as far as the TV series go, we're getting the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're getting the Hawkeye TV series, the Loki, the WandaVision, and the What If. Now, from what I saw, and the explanations they were giving on there, the only two that I really would be most interested at this point would be the Loki TV series, which, me, I'm always like the villains. I've always said the villains is always the main, as they say, the main course of any storyline. And the What If series. The What If, I've always loved the What If comics. They've always been my favorites when I was a kid. I love those stories. It kind of almost moves into a multiverse on there. So, could they use this in a live action situation instead of animated? Yes, they could have done it that way. It would cost them more money. But I think they were saving money, in the animation standards. But they're still using the same voices from their movies and TV series. So, it should be very interesting on that. Hawkeye, I would watch. WandaVision, I don't know on that. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I have a couple of issues on that as well now. But like I said, these series should have been put aside and done on a set panel, because basically it's their TV series. I understand it's coming out of all the same studios, but as far as the movies, I think they should have stuck to the movies as one panel and the TV series to another. I mean, they were getting the best of both worlds. They could have done it in a way. They could have done it in the same room, one after another, extending out, and it wouldn't have changed nothing. Now, getting to how will this do on Disney? I think it'll do okay on Disney Plus. Like I said, I have my questions on some of the series, but all in all, they should get some viewership as far as that. Now, getting into the movies themselves, which I have a hell of a lot of questions on. As far as what I see here, the thought is that, they said Phase 5 is already being thought of right now, that they have some sort of emphasis already put together. Supposedly, that's what the rumor says. When you look at this, we've been saying Black Widow should have, Scarlet should have her own movie, which that is good. I would see that. The Eternals, I'm not I wasn't an Eternals fan in the comics. I would see it, I wouldn't run out to go see it. Same thing with the Shang-Chi, it wasn't a big one. The Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, has some interest and some questions, even though that the director they picked is a horror director, so I expect we're going to see some sort of horror look toward this, because like I said, it's Multiverse of Madness, so it probably has some horror elements to it. And then we come with the biggest question, which hey, I like the director. Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, the thing is, it's the return of Natalie Portman, and they want to introduce Lady Thor into the series. Okay, you know what you know what you think I'm going to say, but hear me out. I have to tell Marvel, be very, very careful, be vigilant, and I'm going to tell you as the viewer, I'm not telling you not to go see the movie. I'm not telling you to see the movie. I just say be vigilant on this. If they want to introduce Lady Thor, okay, fine. It depends on how are you going to use her in the series. Are you replacing Chris Hemsworth? Because right now, Chris is, for him to get a movie 4, and everyone else has gotten like a trilogy, I mean, that is great. Chris is getting another one, and he's going to be in Guardians. So technically, that's a 5th for him. Technically. But, do you want to get rid of Chris Hemsworth and replace it with Natalie Portman? Now, Natalie Portman, she's a great actress. I liked her. I liked a lot of her stuff that she's done. I have no problem with Natalie. You might say to yourself, well, God, you're thinking like Captain Marvel. No. I had a lot of issues with Captain Marvel. And it is the way it was done, that, it was done incorrectly. Like I said, it should have been a Monica Rambeau Captain Marvel, not the Miss Marvel that they put in there, because actually that's what this one was. She was a Miss Marvel. If you go back, her character, the character they picked for Captain Marvel should have been Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau should have been Captain Marvel. And that's the way it should have gone. Now, coming to this, Takeiti is directing the movie. Now, that's the thing that's getting me to pressure to say, okay, I have less questions as much as the other movies, but still, I know he's going to do a good job of it. In fact, speaking of him, if you haven't seen it, and I can't say the name of the person because I'll probably get it, the German World War II leader, that movie is coming out very soon. If you haven't seen it on YouTube, look it up on there. It's pretty funny. And I knew that he was coming out with that. But looking at Thor, Love, and Hammer, what they came out of the Comic-Con, it's, it's how you're going to utilize Lady Thor toward this. I mean, if you're going to push out Chris Hemsworth, I don't think that's a good idea. I think keeping him in the fold would be good. You can keep both. There's not a problem keeping both of them in the fold of the situation on there. And what storyline are you going to have? And that's the other thing. If this is supposed to all interconnect to the next level, where are we headed for it? Because there's a lot that I expected at least Fantastic Four to be announced in this lineup. At least. And maybe one or other. Now, I understand we can't get a Hulk movie because basically some of the legalities are still tied up with at Universal Studios. They still own sort of a piece of it, so basically they can't do a standalone movie. Same thing. I think there's same issues with Submariner, but I think they're about to clear that up very soon because you kind of would have expected a Submariner. Now, as far as the sorry for that, I'm chewing halls. As far as the X-Men, it's too soon to bring them in, and I can understand that. But what you can do is you can introduce a Wolverine into this series immediately, sort of phasing in on there. The mutant situation and it's going to be interesting how to introduce the mutants into this genre. And there's talk to the side, and speaking of mutants, there's talk to the side. They had said something at San Diego about mutants or New Mutants. If they're talking about the New Mutants movie, which is still in play for next year, I mean, are they putting this as part of this lineup? And if so, is it part of the Phase 4? And that's going to be very interesting how they're handling that. Now, if anything, if anything, if you want to utilize to bring the mutants in there, I would assume the Multiverse of Madness would be the way to do it. And that's a possibility. I might be correct on that, to bring them into the fold. Another way, I would say, lead it back. And if anybody's listening from Marvel, lead it back to Endgame with the snap, the return snap what the Hulk did, and that maybe the Hulk might have added something by accident to the nature, which, you know, snapped the mutants into existence, possibly. That's just, you know, things that run through my head when I think about all these things. Now, the other announcement that was put on here that's not on this listing, which is the most optimistic that I have for all of this, is that they announced at this panel that there will be a Blade movie or series coming out, which I would be more tight that it's a movie. And they've chosen Mashali Ali. I maybe say his first name wrong, but it's an excellent choice to do Blade. And I have more, how can I put it? I would go see this, you know, in a heartbeat, to see him as Blade. And are they introducing this into the MCU directly? And I think they are. Now, for me, there was on the board, and I have to check, there was a Mobius movie in the works. Okay? Let's put in that perspective. There was a Mobius movie in the works. And I think that was through Sony. And they didn't announce another Spider-Man. It would be interesting if they do a 3-way team-up with Spider-Man, Mobius, and Blade. Which they've already done this. They've already done this. If you remember the Fox TV series, the animated series back years ago, they had that whole issue, you know, the birth of Mobius, and Blade showed up, and Spider-Man. They all had a team up in the whole situation. That would be interesting to the situation. That could bring that fold into the MCU. And remember, we still have Venom out there. And, you know, that could be another add-on to it. You know, I would say Marvel should work with Sony on that. And that would help to bring into the next level for them. And it would be very interesting on them, because there's a lot they can do. I mean, someone mentioned, hey, a dark Marvel universe. You know, you got your Blade, you got your Mobius. You know, you could throw Doc Strange into there. You could throw in a couple of others and create a whole, like, dark Marvel universe series on there, which would be interesting. You know, I would love to see something of that nature, because it was done in the comics in a way. And you know, when you look at the perspective, and then you see that some people saying Phase 5, you'll see Fantastic Four, X-Men, and a couple of others, and the New Avengers, or the Dark Avengers, however you want to put it onto there. And that would be the next level. But the thing about it is, that's still getting me, is who is the bad guy? I mean, I would love to see, you know, hey, a more bigger emphasis on who this bad guy is going to be. And I would love it to be Galactus. It should be Galactus. And that means the introduction of the Silver Surfer. You know, somewhere in between here, maybe in Doc Strange, they'll introduce the Silver Surfer. Or maybe even in Thor. That would be an interesting situation toward that nature. Now, the other half of it is they could also introduce, because it is part of the universe, is the Beyonder. You know, could they add the Beyonder to this series? You know, it's going to be very interesting if they add it into this. That would mean Secret Wars. Which Secret Wars? Hard to say. If it was me, I would go with original Secret Wars, And you'll be able to introduce the mutants that way as well. To go with the original way back when, which I have a picture in the house of the cover, I think issue 3 or 4, where the Hulk is holding up a mountain. I've mentioned this before, where he's holding up a mountain and he ain't happy because a mountain got thrown at him. But it's going to be very unusual and interesting. Now, like I said, let's take this with a question mark as far as Phase 4. Am I saying don't go see it? No, I am not saying that. I would say take each one of these, the TV series and the movies, with a grain of salt as we learn more about it, what they're trying to do. Now, are they moving into a level where they're making those same mistakes as as Marvel Comics? I hope not. If they are, they need to walk away from that. Because we already see what's going on with the comics. It's almost a dead issue. Manga is doing a better business than Marvel Comics right now at this moment. And because, you're seeing a lot of manga companies are starting to expand further. Viz is creating a Western side of the business, and so is several other companies. And this is coming. But Marvel needs to listen to us and say, hey, be careful how you do these series. Create the story. Then put your characters into play on how you're going to create it. Like I said, the mistake with Captain Marvel is that they had the wrong person being Captain Marvel. Should have been Monica Rambeau. Always remember that, no matter how much. And you see they try to clean up every time someone puts up a new video criticizing Captain Marvel, it gets taken down. And that's not a good thing. We're putting out the situation how we feel. They're turning it into a political situation. We're telling you doesn't work. If it doesn't work, we don't like it. Take it from grain. It's the small 1%ers that are off to the side that says this is what we wanted, but they're not your core customer. Your core customer is the ones that buy your comics every day, that kept coming back and back every week to get you, and every month to get your wares. They wore your T-shirts, their hats, played your games. They went to your conventions. They praised you. They did everything possible, to give you praise. But now there's certain points that you're hurting the fans. And there's going to be a point where, your next major big film may not do the numbers like Endgame. Remember, you cracked the level with Endgame. Unheard of. Avatar is the only other. And believe me, when you have James Cameron sitting there saying, I'm going to do a couple more Avatars, but I'm also going to be doing Alita Battle Angel, which also did good, and they are going to give us a sequel to that. And was able to put out a product like that. And you got to say to yourself, got to put the fans first and create the story. Something that the fans want. So, comment below. Tell me how you feel. Tell me your thoughts on Phase 4. Tell me what you want from Phase 4 below. Tell me, do you want an aging Captain America in Phase 4? You never know. Tell me everything else. Tell me, are you happy that you were going to get a Blade after so long, after that Sticky Fingers, and those of you who know about the Blade TV series with the rap star named Sticky Fingers, or whatever you want to call them, you kind of figure, dead to the universe as far as Blade. But I'm glad they're bringing it on. They got a great actor, Oscar-winning actor to play Blade. So that's a good thing. Let's hope they write it right That's all I say is as long as you write it right, do it with what the fans want. Don't forget we're on mindsandgab.com. We're on BitChute. We are on DLive. Once again, like I said, we're going to have another San Diego one tomorrow. Technically, that will be the last one. It will not be the Star Trek one we had originally. We are going further back. Like I said, we're going to be doing a little bit more research on what's going on right now. That we just got that report. We're going over a lot of videos right now. Some videos with some people that have some information about what is going on, and it looks like somebody's going to be looking at possibly another. I'm not a lawyer, but if it was me, I think I would look into another lawsuit. But this also could help the current one with the Star Trek Discovery. This may give them more proof, more ammo in the clip. So until tomorrow. Oh man, I can't believe it's already Thursday. Tomorrow's Thursday. Wow, it's amazing. End of the week. We went through very quickly. Subscribe, like, support, share. We'll see you and enjoy your evening.